Alright, so you guys remember how in my last video I said that Thassa's Oracle was making a splash in Pioneer? Shameless plug, by the way, check the other one out. But apparently it's also making a splash in Modern. That's right, Thassa's Oracle is now making its way into Ad Nauseam combo in Modern. So if you haven't heard of the Ad Nauseam combo, what you do is you have either a Angel's Grace effect active, so you cast Angel's Grace earlier that turn, or you can have a Phyrexian Unlife on the board, and so basically that makes sure that you can't lose, lose the game due to loss of life. So therefore, you can just draw your entire deck with Ad Nauseam, go to like negative 30, 40, 50 life, and still be fine, and then have your entire deck in your hand, and you can win from there. The professor did a video on this modern deck, you can check it out. But however, Thassa's Oracle makes a huge splash in this deck. Because now, instead of having to Lightning Storm your opponent out of the game, we still have one of those in the deck just in case. You can now use Thassa's Oracle and play that after you have drawn your entire deck, so you win off the Thassa's Oracle. However, there's even more to this spice. If you notice in this deck, we are running 4 copies of Spoils of the Vault. This is a 1-mana instant speed way to help find our combo. So what we can do is, if we have a Thassa's Oracle, we put it into play, and then we have the trigger on the stack. We can either have a Angel's Grace active or have a Phyrexian Unlife on the board, and we can cast Spoils the Vault, name whatever we want, right? We can name Black Lotus, even though it's not in the format, but you know what I mean. Name a card that isn't in our deck, we exile our entire deck, go to negative 50 life or whatever we're at, or however many cards are left in our deck, we go to that negative amount of life, and then we have 0 cards in the game, and then win off of the Thassa's Oracle trigger. This is very similar to how they are doing it now in Sushi Hulk in CEDH, where you use Thassa's Oracle and Demonic Consultation. But in this, we just need one more piece. We just need that either Angel's Grace or Phyrexian Unlife. So the rest of the deck is ways to help accelerate into our combo. We have 4 copies of Lotus Bloom. We have 4 Pentad Prism to help accelerate into the combo. To help find our combo pieces, we have 3 Serum Visions and 2 Sleight of Hand. And we also have that, oh shit, backup win con of Lightning Storm in case our other effects don't end up working. We have 4 Simian Spirit Guide to accelerate our mana even further than that. And then we have our 3 Thassa's Oracle, 4 Angel's Grace, 4 Phyrexian Unlife, and 4 Ad Nauseam. We also have 3 Pact of Negation as a free counter spell that we can use if our opponent's trying to disrupt us. So for our lands, we're actually running the Temples. This is because the Scry effect can help us find whatever combo piece we're looking for. And because this deck wins as early as turn 4, maybe even 3 with the Nut Draw with the new combo, we don't necessarily need the Fetches and Shocks. So that makes this deck pretty budget. This deck's actually under $500 for this fully optimized version. We're also running 4 Gemstone Mine and 3 City of Brass to make any color of mana we want. You'll see that's relevant in the sideboard. We run City of Brass over the Mana Confluence because Mana Confluence we actually need to pay life to do it. And City of Brass, we can tap it with a trigger on the stack. We can cast our Angel's Grace if we need to. So that actually works through a negative 50 million life or whatever we're at. Besides that, we have 3 Seachrome Coasts and 3 Darkslick Shores, just standard fast lands in order to cast our cantrips on turn 1. 1 Island, 1 Plains just in case. Sideboard, we have 3 Duress for any control decks, 2 Path to Exile for big creatures, 4 Veil of Summer that we can actually only cast off of our City of Brasses, Gemstone Mines, I guess technically Lotus Bloom, but really Pentad Prism. This is because our deck folds to Thought Seizes and counter spells, so if we haven't drawn a deck and we don't have our Pact of Negation, we really need to stop them Thought Seizing us. Thought Seize is actually this deck's one big weakness, so we really need to find any way we can to stop that. We also have 4 Leyline Sanctity, once again to stop those Thought Seize type effects. And then we have 2 Bontu's Last Reckoning for any humans, spirits, whatever creature matchup. If they put a lot of early pressure on us, this is how we get rid of them. So that is the deck tech. If you'll enjoy this video, be sure to slap a like on it and subscribe if you haven't yet. TCG player link, affiliate link down in the description. Check that out if you feel like it. And yeah, let's head on to the gameplay. We keep a great hand with 2 Lotus Blooms and a blue source that can cast our Sleight of Hand on turn 2. They play Wooded Foothills and pass the turn to us. We suspend our 2 Lotus Blooms and then play a Darkslick Shores and then cast Sleight of Hand off our new untapped blue source. They crack the Wooded Foothills in response. You want to grab a tapped Cinder Glade. And we see a Spoils the Vault and the Ad Naus. Easy Ad Naus take here because then now we can win on turn 4 with a Pact of Negation backup. We then pass the turn to them. At this point it looks like they're Titan Shift. They play a Forest and play a Relic of Progenitus. I guess not. We draw a Serum Visions, which is fantastic as well. We play the Serum Visions and then we draw a Lotus Bloom off it and bottom 2 Seachrome Coasts. We suspend the Lotus Bloom because why not, and then play the Temple of Enlightenment. We bottom a Gemstone Mine and then pass the turn to them. End of turn, they crack the Serum Visions to cantrip. They play a Wooded Foothills, and then pass the turn to us. We draw our 4th Lotus Bloom. We play a Plains and then pass the turn, ready to win next turn. End of turn, they crack their Wooded Foothills and grab a Forest. They also cast a Beast within, targeting our Dark Slick Shores. We get a Beast. I have no idea what they're doing. Maybe they Ponza? I don't know. They play a Dryad and then pass the turn, not making either of their 2 land drops. We cast our first Lotus Bloom and then cast our second. We draw our Dark Slick Shores to replace the one that just blew up. We then crack our 2 Lotus Blooms for 3 black and 3 white. First we cast the Angel's Grace and then we cast our Ad Nauseam. They let it resolve and we go to draw our whole deck. We end the Ad Naus with 48 cards in hand and at negative 46 life. We then tap 2 blue and cast the Thassa's Oracle. The ETB trigger hits and we win the game. We make no changes to sideboard because even though they can Scape's to death, so it may have been right to bring in some hexproof ley lines, I think we're fine. I think we just want to erase them. We keep another excellent hand with 2 Lotus Blooms as well as a Pentad Prism. They play a Chalice on 0, well that's an issue, and then play a Valakut. They then pass the turn. We suspend our 2 Lotus Blooms anyway and then play a Temple of Deceit. We chuck a Spirit Guide to the bottom. We then pass the turn. While we just can win now without our Lotus Blooms, it's going to be a lot harder and we won't be able to pull it off on turn 4. They play a Wooded Foothills and crack it, going to grab a Forest. They then pass the turn. We draw a Serum Visions, which is fine. We play the Serum Visions, and they stomp our face in response. Sure. We draw an Angel's Grace, and we see a Phyrexian Unlife and a Spoils of the Vault. We chuck the Unlife on the bottom and keep the Spoils on the top, and then pass the turn to them. Fun fact, if we have an Oracle in our hand, we can Angel's Grace, Spoils of the Vault, and then Oracle. Cool. They cast a Bone Crusher Giant, and then they pass the turn to us. We draw our Spoils of the Vault, and then play a Gemstone Mine. Did I not play a land? Whatever. We play a Pentad Prism for 2, and then say go. They play another Valakut, and then head to combat. They get us for 4, and we go down to 14. They then pass the turn. We try to cast our 2 Lotus Blooms, but they both get countered off of Chalice of the Void. That's pretty sad. They stomp our face in response to the second. Sure. We draw another Ad Naus. That's no good. We decide just to pass the turn here. We 100% would have won if we had those 2 Lotus Blooms here, so that Chalice of the Void really screwed us over this game. They play the second Bone Crusher, and then head to combat. They whack us for 4, putting us down to 8, and then pass the turn. We draw a Thassa's Oracle, which is actually exactly what we need. I'm being sure to hold control. We remove 2 blue mana, and cast Thassa's Oracle. We let it resolve, and then in response to the trigger, we first cast the Spoils of the Vault, and then an Angel's Grace. The Angel's Grace resolves. Oh, we can't name Abandoned Hope, what? We named Profane Memento because, I don't know, that's what came up when I said meme. We exile our entire library, and then we win off of a Thassa's Oracle. We mulligan a no-lander away, and see a fine hand with a Temple of Enlightenment, a Serum Visions, and a Pentad Prism, as well as 2 Spoils. We chuck a Spoils to the bottom, and then send it to them. They play a Scalding Tarn, and then crack it. They grab a Steam Vents, shocked. They cast the Serum Visions. At this point it looks like they're on Storm. They then pass to us. We draw another Spirit Guide, which is mediocre. We play a Sequem Curse and then cast the Serum Visions. At this point we really want a Angel's Grace, so if they storm off and kill us with a Grape Shot, we can just Angel's Grace in response. We draw a Gemstone Mine, chuck a Pact on the bottom and Serum Visions on the top. We pass the turn to them. They play a Steam Vents, shocked, exile a Simian Spirit Guide, and then cast an As Foretold. I guess they're not Storm. They cast an Ancestral Vision to draw 3 cards. Seems pretty decent. They then pass the turn to us. We draw our Serum Visions that we knew about. We play this Temple of Enlightenment tapped. We see a Lightning Storm, which we chuck to the bottom. We cast the Serum Visions, draw a Lotus Bloom, see a Spoils and an Ad Naus. We chuck the Spoils to the bottom and then Ad Naus to the top. Suspend a Lotus Bloom and then pass the turn back. They put a time counter on As Foretold, putting it to 1. They play a Mika Koro, and then pass the turn to us. We draw our Ad Naus that we know about. We play a Gemstone Mine, and then cast a Pentad Prism for white and blue for 2 charge counters. We then pass the turn back. End of turn, we both draw a card. We draw a Phyrexian Unlife. They play a Polluted Delta and crack it. They grab an island, and play a Fires of Invention. Interesting. They cast a free Days Ah. Huh. So they time twister us, and then just say go. We draw an Angel's Grace, which is perfect. Because we drew that, I think we can just go off this turn. So we remove a charge counter from the Pentad Prism to cast an Angel's Grace. Exile 2 Spirit Guides, and then tap Gemstone Mine, remove a counter from Pentad Prism, and then tap the Temple of Enlightenment to cast our Ad Nauseam. They can't interact on our turn due to them having Fires of Inventions, so we go and draw our entire deck. We end our Ad Naus with 51 cards in hand and at negative 35 life. We play our island as our land for turn and then cast Thassa's Oracle. The ETB trigger goes in the stack and we win the game. Game 2 we clean cut 3 Pact Negation for 3 duress. We cut the Pact Negation because they're playing Fires of Invention so they can't interact on our turns. We keep a fine hand with an Ad Naus, a Spirit Guide, and a Serum Visions. They go down to 5. They play a tapped Teleria West and then pass the turn to us. We draw a Pentad Prism, which is great. We play the island and then cast Seer Visions. We draw an Ad Naus and then see a Lotus Bloom and an Angel's Grace. We chuck the Lotus Bloom on the bottom because by turn 2 it'll be too late, and then we keep the Angel's Grace on the top, playing into Pentad Prism for 2 next turn. They play a tap Steam Vents and then pass the turn to us. We draw the Angel's Grace we knew about. We then play a Gemstone Mine and then play a Pentad Prism with 2 charge counters on it. We pass the turn back to them. They play a Polluted Delta, crack it. Going to grab a snow-covered island. They cast an As Foretold, and then play Ancestral Vision, drawing 3 cards, going up to 5 cards in hand. They then pass the turn to us. We draw a Temple at a Seat, which is fine. We play said Temple, and we see a Lightning Storm, which we chuck onto the bottom. We then pass the turn to them. They put a time counter on As Foretold, and then play a Misty Rainforest. They crack the Misty Rainforest, chucking at a Steam Vents. They cast a Chandra, Torch of Defiance. They uptick, exiling a Narset, which they don't play, and we take 2, going down to 18. They cast a Serum Visions for free after the As Foretold, and then pass the turn to us. We draw a Dark Slick Shores. We play a Gemstone Mine, remove a charge counter to cast Angel's Grace, and then tap our lands and remove the last charge counter to cast Ad Nauseam. We go to draw our deck, and they just scoop it up. We keep a fine hand with a couple cantrips and lands to cast said cantrips. They play a Power Plant and then pass the turn to us. No Expedition Map, no Chromatic Star, that seems pretty good for us. We draw a land, which is fine. We play a Sequim Curse and then cast Serum Visions. We draw a Thassa's Oracle, chuck an Unleft to the bottom and a Pentad Prism to the top. We then pass the turn. They play an island, so they're mono blue now. We then pass the turn. We draw a Pentad Prism, which you knew about. We play a Pentad Prism with 2 counters on it. And then they Condescend. We exile the monkey to pay for the Condescend because we think this is probably better. They get their Scry 2 and we get our Pentad Prism. We then pass the turn to them. They play an Urza's Tower and then repeal our Pentad Prism. Yeah, that's fine. It comes back to our hand and then they pass the turn. We draw a Gemstone Mine, which is these. We play a City of Brass. We take one off the City of Brass and cast this Pentad Prism for 2 once more. We then add a blue via the Gemstone Mine and cast the Serum Visions. We draw another Serum Visions and chuck a couple lands onto the bottom. We decided to use the Pentad Prism to cast this other Serum Visions that we just drew, drawing a Spoils the Vault, chucking a Pentad Prism onto the bottom and an Ad Naus onto the top. We then pass the turn, feeling pretty good, because we do win the next turn via this 3-card combo with a Pact Negation backup. They play a Urza's Mine, so now they have 8 mana to play around with. Speaking of the 8 mana, they cast a Sundering Titan, which we abruptly Pact to negate. It gets countered, and then we go to our turn. In response to the Pact trigger, we cast the Angel's Grace because I don't really feel like losing the game here. We don't pay the Pact, but we don't lose the game because yeah, Angel's Grace, get him. We then play the Thassa's Oracle, and then in response to the ETB trigger, we cast Spoils the Vault. We name our favorite card Profane Memento, exile our entire library, and then the Oracle trigger resolves and we win the game. We bring in 4 Veil of Summers and then cut a bunch of these cards. We then run it back to game 2. We keep a pretty good hand with a Serum Visions as well as a Lotus Bloom and a Phyrexian Unlife, so if we find a Spoils of the Vault, we're in business. They play an island and then pass the turn. Well, there's our Spoils of the Vault. We suspend a Lotus Bloom and play a Dark Slick Shores, casting a Serum Visions off of it. We draw a land and we find a Pact Negation and a Pentad Prism. We keep both of these on top, putting the Pentad Prism on top because we think countering their counter spells just seems pretty good, especially for free. They play a power plant, and then play a Spreading Seas on our Dark Slick Shores, cutting us off a black. Yeah, sure, that's fine. They draw a card off of it, and then pass the turn to us. We draw our Pentad Prism that we know about, we then play a Temple of Deceit, and keep the Pact Negation that we know about on top, and then pass the turn back to them. They play a Mine, and then pass the turn to us. We draw a Pact Negation that we once again know about, and then play a Temple of Enlightenment. We see a Spirit Guide, which we reluctantly keep on top. We then cast a Pentad Prism for 2. They then Spell Pierce it. Yeah, sure. It gets countered, and we pass the turn back to them. Because we have our Lotus Bloom in exile coming down next turn, we have the win next turn with a Pact Negation backup. They play a River of Tears, and then Spreading Seas our Temple of Enlightenment. Yeah, that's fine. They draw a card off the Spreading Seas, going up to 5 cards in hand, and then pass the turn to us. Our Lotus Bloom comes off suspend, and it resolves. We draw a Spirit Guide that we know about. We crack our Lotus Bloom for 3 white and cast the Phyrexian Unlife. They try to remand it, but we Pact of Negation, they remand. The Unlife resolves. We cast Thassa's Oracle, and the ETB trigger goes in the stack. In response to the ETB trigger, we cast Spoils of the Vault. We name Profane Memento, our library goes in exile, and we win the match.